Hey guys, it's Mark with Hallmark Pool Supplies. In this video, I'd like to talk to you guys about how we unclog a pump. Well, first of all, how does a pump get clogged in the first place? Well, most pools have skimmers that have a basket. Then we have a basket in the pump, and it is very important to make sure that the baskets are in. It's also important to make sure that these baskets aren't cracked, they don't have holes, because then it allows trash to go through, and if trash goes through, it gets into the impeller of the pump, and it restricts the pump, and therefore we lose performance. And the end result is when we look at a pump normally, the water in here is moving really fast, and we can also look at the pool and the jets, and we can see that the pressure is really good and that it's moving very quick. When we have a clogged pump, you're going to see the water in here moving very slow, and we're going to see hardly any water flow or very little water flow out of the jets on the returns in the pool. And that is a visual reference that lets us know that there's definitely a problem. But what we don't want to do is just take the pump apart, because we don't know if that's the problem yet. So we want to do a few tests, and this will help us diagnose. It's just basically process of elimination, so that we know if we have to take the pump apart and check the impeller. So the first thing we want to do is we want to walk over here to your filter. We want to turn the pump off, and we're going to rotate this into recirculate. And then we're going to turn the pump on. Now, at this point in time, in recirculate, we are bypassing the filter. The water is coming directly from the pool to the pump, through the multiport, back to the pool, and like I said, we're bypassing the filter. And now we want to look at the pump. And if we look at the pump and it's still running the same, then we know that the filter is definitely not a problem, because we are bypassing the filter. The next thing that we want to do is we want to come down here to our valves, and most pools will have at least a skimmer and a drain. Some pools have multiple skimmers or drains, and so we have to isolate each line. And what we want to do is we want to close the skimmer line, we want to run it off the drain, and we notice that it's still barely moving. The pressure at the pool is very weak. We still have a problem. So what we want to do now is open the skimmer. And now we want to close the drain, and we see there's no change. We still have the same problem. So what we have just done is we have isolated these lines, and we have determined that no matter what line we're pulling from, and we've bypassed the filter, we still have a problem with the pump performing like it should. And we still have very little, if any, pressure out at the pool. So that tells me the only thing left is the pump. And we're going to take this pump apart, and we're going to show you how to clean the impeller. And so let's go ahead and do that. Before we get started, I want to show you guys two of the most common pumps on swimming pools. We have the Hayward Super Pump, and we have the Pentair Superflow. Like I said, these are the most common pumps that you'll see. It doesn't matter what pump you have. The principles behind the pumps and the impellers and things like that, and the way they operate is pretty much the same. But what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. If you guys have a super pump, when we want to remove the motor, the first thing we're going to do is obviously turn off the pump, and we want to get a 9/16 open-end wrench or socket set, and we want to remove the 4 bolts that are on the back of the housing here, so that we can pull the motor out. If you guys have a Superflow by Pentair, we're also going to be using a 9/16 socket or open-end wrench, and we want to remove the 4 bolts in the front. Notice on the Superflow there are bolts on the back. That just mounts the motor to the bracket itself. We don't want to take that off. We want to take the 4 bolts in the front. Okay, so now that we've got the 4 bolts out, for those of you that have the Super Pump, we pull the motor out. And when we pull the motor out, set the housing there, we have a diffuser. There's also a diffuser gasket. This will pop off. What's very important when we go to put this back on, that we line this up, and if you'll note, it says top, top. Some of the older pumps had arrows on them, but there is a marking so that this way we know to put it back exactly like this. We're not putting the diffuser on backwards, so we want to remove that. And now we've got the impeller on the Super Pump, as you see here, exposed. Okay, and for those of you that have a super flow, we remove the 4 front bolts, as I mentioned before. And we're going to be able now to pull the motor out from the housing. As you see here, we have a diffuser just like we do with Hayward, except Hayward's just pops off. And with the Superflow, we want to grab ourselves a 1/4 inch nut driver and we want to loosen the screws. Now on this, it is marked, it is lined, but what Pentair has done in regards to lining it up is the holes on this diffuser where these screws go in are offset. So it doesn't matter when we go to put it back on, you can't put it on backwards even if you wanted to, because the holes only line up one way. But we remove these screws and now we have the diffuser there, and there's also an O-ring on the diffuser here, and we want to make sure that that's good and intact. And so now we're going to be looking at both of these motors. I'm just going to push all this to the side, and we're going to look at these 2 motors here. And as you can see, they both have impellers. They look very similar, even though the process of taking them apart is a little different. What we want to do is we want to grab a wire. A coat hanger works perfectly. Something that's stiff, but yet we can bend it if we need to bend it. And what we want to do is go into the slots here, and we want to clean out the impeller, and this will allow us to clean the trash out. Doesn't matter which pump you have. It's the same principle. We're going to be doing the same thing. So as a close-up, I have an impeller here that I wanted to show you guys. There are slots, as you can see here. Now, depending on the size of the impeller will determine how many slots you have, but that really doesn't matter. What we want to do is we want to take our coat hanger here, and we want to make sure that we go in every single one of these slots. This way we can work out any trash or debris. Over the years, I've cleaned quite a few impellers. I've seen everything from hair to pine straw to nuts. I've even pulled a pair of earrings out of one. When big debris gets in here and clogs, more debris that comes after just builds up. And all it takes is just 1 or 2 slots to get clogged, and the efficiency of the pump will drop dramatically. So it will go from running at full performance to running barely at all. So it is very important that we check that, and if you get it all cleaned out, then you guys will be able to put your pumps back together and you guys will be good to go. And so that wraps it up. I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, comment down below or contact me. I will be glad to help. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button for future content. And for those of you that hit the thanks button, I do appreciate it. All donations do go to the video production on this channel, making it possible to make these videos for you guys. Definitely don't forget us on Hallmark Pool Supplies for all your pool needs. My name is Mark, and I'll see you guys on the next video.